Hello there, welcome to a tutorial on this channel. My name is Rose and I'll be guiding you through how to crochet the bean stitch. The bean stitch is a thick stitch. It's puffy and it is a bit of a yarn eater, if I must say, but it is such a beautiful stitch because of the zigzag pattern. Alright, this is really easy to make, and this is a great stitch for, like, if you wanted to make a headband or ear warmer, like cozy projects. It's great for that. Or if you wanted to use it as an embellishment accent to a garment that you're making. Alright, I'm going to guide you through two ways to start the bean stitch. The first way, if you want the first row to be the bean stitch, and the second way, if you want the first row to be a single crochet stitch. So I'm using worsted weight yarn. This is a cotton acrylic blend and a 5mm hook. So of course you can use any yarn weight of choice. It's just for practice. I'm going to start with a multiple of 2 chains plus 1 at the end. So that means I'm going to chain like maybe 16, and I'm going to add 1 extra at the end of the chains. So that'll be 17 chains. Alright, we have 17 chains here. We're going to skip 1 to the first 2 chains, and we'll go into the third chain. We'll go in as though we wanted to do a single crochet stitch. Go into the chain, pull out a loop, yarn over now, go into the same chain, and over, pull out a loop. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook. We'll do it one more time. Yarn over, go into the same chain, yarn over, pull out a loop. We have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops. And chain 1. Skip the next chain and into the next. We'll go in, yarn over, pull out a loop. Okay, 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, go into the same chain, yarn over, pull out a loop. One more time, yarn over, go into the same chain, pull out a loop. 6 loops on our hook, and we yarn over, pull through all the loops, and chain 1. See, it's pretty easy to do, right? So we're going to continue this sequence. Skip next stitch, skip next stitch. In next, go into the stitch, bring out a loop, 2 loops on hook, yarn over, go into the same chain, 4 loops on hook, yarn over again, go into the same chain, pull out a loop, 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1. Okay, we're going to repeat this across the row. We have 2 chains left here. Skip the next chain, that's after the chain 1, and I'll do a last bean stitch in there. Alright, and that's the end of row 1. We want to go on to row 2. We will chain 1, 2, and turn, or turn and chain 2. It's the same way. On this row, on row 2, we will be working into the tops of the bean stitches, which are these spaces in here. So this is the last bean stitch, and this is the top of the bean stitch. I've unraveled chain 2. You see that this is where the bean stitch is, and this one right here is the chain 1 and the bean stitch, and chain 1 and bean stitch. So because we're working into the sides of the bean stitch, that's why we have the zigzag design. Chain 2 and into the first bean stitch on the row, we'll do a bean stitch. Okay, chain 1, bean stitch in the next bean stitch. Chain 1, and we're going to repeat this across the row. chain 1. And we're going to finish with bean stitch in the last bean stitch right here. And this is the top of the bean stitch. Yes, we skipped 2 at the beginning, which is right here, 1, 2. They are squished so you don't see them properly. Okay, sorry, I was momentarily confused. Okay, and the last bean stitch. Chain 1, 2, turn, and repeat row 2 for as many times as you want, as many times as a pattern calls for. So this is how to do the bean stitch, starting bean stitch on the first row. Now we're going to start the bean stitch on the second row. That means our first row will be the single crochet. This time we're going to start with a multiple of 2 chains only. So I have chained 16 here, okay? Remember we chained a multiple of 2 plus 1 when we were starting the first row with bean stitch. So a multiple of 2 only for starting the row with a single crochet stitch. So we have 16 chains here. We're going to skip the first chain and single crochet into the second chain from hook, and single crochet into the next chain as well, and single crochet into each of the chains across the row. Okay, once row 1 is done, we're going to chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1. Into the first stitch here, we'll do our first single crochet. And we will skip the next stitch. In the third stitch, we're going to do our bean stitch in there. Remember how to do the bean stitch? Okay, 4 loops and hook yarn over, going to the same stitch again, and 6 loops and hook yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 1. Skip the next stitch. In the next bean stitch, yarn over, go into stitch, pull out a loop, 4 loops and hook, yarn over, go into stitch, 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and that's how we're going to repeat it across the row. And bean stitch, skip the next stitch, bean stitch in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn, or turn and chain 1. So here is where we're going to be working our bean stitches. We'll be working it in the side of the bean stitch, which is the top of the bean stitch itself. So for unravel the chain 1, we'll see that this is the top of the bean stitch, from looking at it from the front of row 2. So when we turn, it's going to be on the side of the bean stitch. Chain 1, turn, and bean stitch into the first stitch, chain 1, and bean stitch into the next stitch. Alright, that's how we repeat it across the row into each of the bean stitches. We have come to the end of the row, chain 1, and we have a single crochet stitch left. We'll do a single crochet in there, and that's basically how you do the bean stitch, starting the row with a single crochet stitch. If you wanted to start with a half double crochet stitch, it follows the same rule. We're just going to make a multiple of 2 chains, because pardon me, a multiple of 2 chains. So that means we'll skip 1 stitch and do a half double crochet into the next chain, and repeat the same across. If you notice also on row 2, when we began row 2, we made the first single crochet, but we didn't chain one. All right, we didn't chain one, and then we worked bin stitches, and we had a chain one after the last bin stitch. We had a chain one, and then we did a single crochet. We had a chain one, skipped one stitch, single crochet, which is what we repeated for row 3. I don't know the science behind that, behind not making a chain one after the first single crochet. However, as you progress, as you go further making more rows, the chain ones will alternate on each side, so it will balance the stitch out. It's not going to be lopsided. Okay, so that's basically how you do the bin stitch. So practice, 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 and you know, so that you commit it to memory. And you could also practice and make a small card case. You know, it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just make a multiple of 2 chains plus 1, depending on how tall your card is. Multiple of 2 chains plus 1, and skip 2 stitches as we did in the beginning, and make your bin stitch rows as many times as you want. This is about 10 rows, and you sew it up on the sides. You sew it up, pass the yarn down, and sew it back up, and there you have it. Thank you for joining me on this tutorial. Don't forget to practice. See ya. God bless you.